Hi, and welcome to my channel. Welcome if you're new or you've been a few times already to my live Q&As. Today we do a live Q&A where I'm going to answer some questions that some of you have sent in today. In case you're live here with me today, feel free to drop a question into the chat. Otherwise, I'm just going ahead and I will answer a couple of questions that I've received over the last 2 to 3 weeks. And we only have about 10-15 minutes. So let's get right into it. The first question was from Maria. And Maria asked me this question already around the holiday seasons, but I only got to answer it right now. She asked me in connection with the videos I've shared with you about Vata. And she said, how can I balance my Vata during travel times? And she wrote, right, traveling aggravates the Vata, but what can I do? And this is a great question. And if you're watching this and you don't know much about Ayurveda, I don't want to go too much into detail, but there are 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. All of them are governing your body, your mind, your physiology. And most of us have one constitution, and all of us have, most of the time, some kind of imbalance. And the Vata is that dosha that is air and ether that gets imbalanced really quickly. And as I said already, Vata is air and ether. It governs movement in your body. It governs your nervous system. It governs your downward flow of energy. It governs the empty spaces. And as you hear me say this, I mean, imagine you are going from one place to the other via airplane. I mean, you are traveling from one place to the other. You're moving in a speed you would never move. You're moving in a height you would never travel otherwise. Yeah, so you're moving in air and ether as you're traveling, especially with the plane. You are maybe skipping time zones. You are arriving in a different culture, with a different climate, with a different food. So yes, the traveling is one of the things that aggravate the Vata dosha the most. It's the air and ether in you responsible for your digestion, nervous system regulation, and movement. And that's why often when you come to a new place, you feel first exhilarated. Yeah, exhilarated, excited. These are Vata emotions. But it can be that after a day, when this drops, you can feel quite tired and drained. And common travel symptoms is, you're not sleeping so well, you cannot calm down. Maybe there's some anxiety. I just spoke to someone a couple of days ago. Some people have this flight anxiety, maybe even panic. And these both are Vata emotions. A lot of people experience some kind of constipation or dry stool or gas, especially when they first arrive in a place. They can go regular to the bathroom at home, but then they're traveling and they don't go for 3 days. Maybe your skin feels a bit more dry. And as I said, your sleep might be interrupted. These are all Vata symptoms that are aggravated with travel. And so what does Ayurveda recommend? I speak a lot with my clients about this because a lot of them are traveling. And so my first recommendation is always have a bottle of oil with you. I've I covered already Ayurvedic self-massage in one of the videos. And this is now the time, especially if you're Vata, especially if you're traveling a lot, especially if you're traveling in the winter, in the holiday season, always have a bottle of either sesame oil or almond oil with you. Yeah, the oil is really, if you imagine, air and ether, oil is nourishing, is oily, it has weight to it. So always travel with a bottle of oil. And my recommendation is, especially let's say you're traveling during the day, always one of the first things you're doing is taking a warm bath, if possible, or warm shower. It's not only for the hygiene, been traveling with other people. But you're taking off the clothes, you're taking a warm bath, and this, from the Ayurvedic point of view, really calms the Vata too. Water, warmth, and then the oil is really soothing to the nervous system. So ideally, you want to put oil over your whole body, really rub it in. If you know the Ayurvedic massage, you can do that. But especially important is the soles of the feet. Yeah, soles of the feet, that's really for the grounding. And let's say you're arriving and you don't care anymore, you're not going anywhere. Ayurveda recommends to put some oil on your head. Yeah, your Vata gets really out of whack. So putting oil on your head, a lot of Indian people, you've seen them, they travel with coconut oil, they have this oil over the head. So this is really great. The second thing is drink ginger tea. It's not only good for the winter, it's not only good for Vata, but for traveling. Ginger tea is recommended, actually, or also before, to have a handful of fresh ginger, maybe with fennel seeds, before you travel, during the travel, and after the travel. And what is really good to know is that your digestive system basically kind of goes on hold while you're traveling, especially while you're flying. So even so, it's entertaining, and maybe you've booked a nice ticket and you get nice foods. My recommendation is not to overdo it. I'm a mom, I have kids, I entertain partially my kids with the snacks I bring to a flight. So I always have a big bag of foods, but I try, instead of just, let's say, dry chips or dry nuts, I try to pack, something that is more fresh, so I do. Bananas is not so great, we know it's squashes, but I try to pack fresh foods for the flight. Again, raw foods are hard to digest, so it's really hard. It's a hard choice. But one of my favorite travel foods, if I travel long distance or longer periods, and I know, because Vata also gets imbalanced if you don't eat, if you keep too much space in your belly. I love to bring, for example, maki, avocado maki. They're rice, they're nourishing, the avocado is soothing, maybe a little soya sauce. The salty taste is also balancing. And I always try to bring teas, I have I only have this one, but, a thermos with me. I bring tea bags. I fill them, before I step into the plane. I ask for hot water. A really good tip is miso soup as well. I don't know if you can get, the instant miso. So the hot oil I said in the beginning, ginger tea before, afterwards, so chewing on ginger, trying to keep the food really simple, while you're traveling. Also, when you arrive, that might not sound like an Ayurvedic tip, but it is. I've talked to so many people and it makes so much sense. I spoke to a friend of mine. He said, you know what, my husband, he's usually vegetarian. He usually doesn't like meat, but when he's on business trips, he says that one thing he really wants to eat when he arrives is steak. And I said, that makes perfectly sense, because meats are grounding. Yeah, meat, or protein rich foods rich in protein are really grounding for the Vata constitution. So even if you're vegetarian, even if you vegan, you might be too strict to do this, but I've decided to listen to my body. In Ayurveda, nothing is bad for your body. It's just what is balancing to you to arrive. And let's say to have a nice chicken soup, for example. You don't have to eat red meat or steak, but like a nice grounding soup or stew, either, with chicken or not. If you totally vegetarian, vegan, then just have a nice vegetable soup, a nice stew, Beans, I must say, are Vata aggravating, so it might be a little bit hard. Yeah, but so don't arrive and eat some salad, for example, eat something warm and grounding. Oh my God, and now I've almost talked the 10 minutes through with just this one question. So 3 tips to balance Vata during travel is always bring oil, always oil your whole body, take a warm bath. That's also Vata balancing when you first arrive. Put oil on the soles of the feet, on the top of the head. chew on ginger and fennel seed before, during, and after the flight, and have a nice ginger tea when you arrive. Eat simple foods while traveling. Try to avoid these dry foods that are hard to digest, maybe even raw foods. My personal preference is avocado maki and miso soup. And when I arrive, I like to eat also a hot wok, for example, with some nice tofu or some nice soup. If you eat meat, that's a good time to eat meat when you arrive. It helps you to ground. And in general, with Vata and travel, my recommendation for you is to avoid short travel trips as much as possible. So, doing a lot of short trips in a row just because it's fun and you want to meet a girlfriend in Paris and then 2 or 3 weeks later another one in Madrid, let's say, this is really aggravating a lot. So when you travel, try to book it that way that you can stay a few days. And I don't know what it's a few days for you, but let's say 3 nights. It's better, according to Ayurveda, to travel less and longer periods of time than more. And for example, I've used this recommendation in my 6 trips to India. I've never done any trips in India where I wanted to see all of India, in 3 months or 6 months. I really stayed at every place at least a month. And honestly, in my 6 times travels to India, I only got towards the very end sick 1 time. So yeah, one of the reasons why travelers get sick when they travel also in exotic places, I think, is because they exhaust themselves. They move too fast. They don't settle in one place. So that was one question. Then I have another question from Vanessa. She asked me this the other week. And this is another 10-minute question. So I'm needing to make it short. I have 4 more minutes. She asked me a question that takes a long time to answer. She said, Verena, my husband, he likes meats. He's Mediterranean. He always has some kind of fish or meat every day. And he's wanting me to do this too. But I don't like meat. I don't like chicken. I don't like to eat it. I'm mainly vegetarian. But what do you think? What is your diet? What is your wholesome eating? Can you recommend me a diet that's good for me? Because I'm reading different things. I don't know. My answer to her was, I can't give you a quick answer. And I have to give you this answer too. I'm too much of a professional. I'm a clinical Ayurvedic specialist. I cannot give quick answers when it gets to food programs. But my answer to you is that in Ayurveda, as I described to you earlier, we all have a constitution. We all have a tendency for certain imbalances. And Ayurveda is very specific. Ayurveda says not every diet is right for everyone. Ayurveda says that every food has a good property used at the right time for the right person, for the right imbalance. So if you're a Vata constitution, you need partially opposite foods of someone who is a Kapha constitution. So if you're a thin, airy person, like I've explained before, you need, of course, more grounding, warm, rich, sweet kind of foods. But if you imagine you're a Kapha person and you're not just looking at food and you're putting on weight, you natural have reserves, even so you're not eating so much, you have nice curves, you might be a bit smaller, your bones are really strong, and you're very beautiful and lush. For a person like this, if you're someone like this, you need the opposite kind of foods like a Vata person would to keep you in balance and healthy. So Ayurveda has it really very much mapped out in detail for every constitution and every person. So there is not one recommendation for every person. And what I love and what I will really work a lot with clients is, regardless of the constitution, first we need to see what's the imbalance. Because if you want to use the food as a medicine to the imbalance, you are choosing, let's say, I don't know, a Vata program for a Pitta person. And once the Vata is balanced out, you can switch to the constitutional diet of a Pitta person. And what I think is very important is the 3, or sometimes it's called 4-season diet, that we are really looking, is it winter? Is it spring? Is it summer, or is it fall, when winter and fall are about the same? And I'm really, with my private clients, it's not one diet for the whole time. It's changing on the season. It's changing which state of life you are. It's changing if you are preparing to become pregnant, if you're pregnant, after pregnancy, it's depends. Do you need more cleansing, more rejuvenation? So yes, my answer is there is no easy answer. And the way to solve this is, I usually start with with a constitutional assessment. We need, for Ayurveda, we need a really thorough constitutional assessment to find out what's your constitution, what's your imbalance, and what's the road to go to balance it out. And usually, not with everyone, but usually it's recommended to start with the food and to find the right food program. And it's not a diet per se, it's a food program that's ideal for you. And Ayurveda is very specific. Let's say, I don't know, one example. White basmati rice is better for Pitta constitution than brown basmati rice. Or lentils are really good for Pitta, and they can be good for Kapha, but they can be really aggravating for Vata. Kale is really great for Kapha, and it's really great in the spring, but it's not so ideal in the cold winter months for a Vata person. So yes, the diet is not such an easy topic, but it's a thorough topic. So if you want to know what to eat for yourself, you need Ayurveda. That's all I say, because Ayurveda, everything is good, has its right place. And now it's a little joke, but it's true, except peanuts and peanut butter. This I'll tell you in the next session if you join me. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your interest. I hope these tips were valuable for you. And if you like this, I'm really excited to announce, and you're going to be the first one to hear it today, is I am offering a free masterclass next week for the first time. The first masterclass will be Wednesday, the 29th at 5 o'clock UK time, 6 o'clock Central European time, 12 o'clock New York time, and 9 o'clock Pacific time. And the topic will be how to regain your time and energy for everyone, but especially for busy moms, without feeling guilty. How to grab back your time so you can do something that is meaningful for you, so you have time for self-care, so you can pursue your goals. And I'm going to teach you 3 steps. I'll teach you 3 steps to see how you can start to recover your time and energy, even when you're an incredibly busy person, and even if you feel incredibly guilty when you take time for yourself. I'm going to teach you 3 really important lessons, and I hope you join me. If you like, please drop a comment on below. You can go to my website, Verena, Verena, Primus, Primus.com. Right up there, it says free masterclass. Go in there, lock yourself in, choose a date that suits you. I'll teach on the 29th, on the 31st, and on the 2nd of February, different times so different people can join. I hope to see you there. There's more information on my website, and let's do it, because health and holistic well-being is the ground, the base for all your projects, everything you want to do. Thank you very much. Namaste.